Welcome back. You're watching Daybreak. Thank you for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. Richard Onyonka is the Senator Kisii County. Robert Mbui represents Kadhiani constituency. And Mark Nyamita represents Uriri constituency at the National Assembly. To you, Mark. And I'm looking at the contracting authority here, which is the Kenya Airports Authority. And it contracted the ALG, a firm that specializes in transport and infrastructure and logistics, to explore opportunities for JKIA's expansion and enhance aviation policy. ALG had submitted its report, and it had a proposal of 211 billion. Adani had 238 billion. That's 27 billion more. In terms of the modeling, ALG said full airport or terminals. Adani was of single PPP for terminals. In managing the runway, ALG proposed second runway by 2035, and Adani said current runway is sufficient until 2054. With regards to the bidding, ALG are for competitive bidding, meaning as also directed, as also espoused in the PPA Act, but Adani prefers PIP, privately initiated proposal, as they did. In terms of the fees and the charges you talked about, ALG is proposing government regulation, Adani self-regulation. ALG talks about, in terms of focus on larger infrastructure, Adani focuses on terminal upgrades. I mean, if this isn't a better deal by ALG, contracted by the Kenya Airports Authority, in overlooking the same agency it's contracted and presented a proposal that, one, was cost-effective for Kenyans, two, had better in terms of outreach and with regards to the expansion of the JKIA and expanding its infrastructure, why do you think the government had overlooked ALG and went for Adani in the process, which it's finding it hard to defend? Why?
Let me say this from the onset, Ayub, that one, I haven't had the full opportunity to interrogate what was actually going on in the Senate, or neither have I fully been seized of the documentation relating to Adani, so that or the deal around the airport. My comments are basically largely on what is the public domain. Mm-hmm. All I know is that the PPP Act clearly says, amongst many other things that you can do, it allows for privately initiated proposal, mm-hmm. and that can actually happen. Mm-hmm. But the critical things that needs to be looked into, issues of transparency, cost effectiveness, equal opportunity. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think there's a clause that says that it is a PPP directorate at the Treasury that needs to give the standard bidding documents. So I think one of the things that we all agree, including with my colleagues, is that mm-hmm. there is need for an expanded, for additional capacity in our airports, whether it's a JKIA or a new one. The methodology of how to acquire it, and we were discussing with my colleagues, it's true. We have Konza. We can establish a new airport at Konza. We can expand the JKIA, because there is really a need. I mean, Kenya, by virtue of our positioning, we need an airport that can actually be able to, because otherwise then we are going to be completely thrown out of the market. Mm-hmm. But the government, from KA to Ministry of Transport to Treasury, still have that opportunity to allay the fears that are actually being raised by different stakeholders. And I'm saying this because I've not fully interrogated the documents that are actually there. Yeah. But I'm saying that they have that opportunity to allay the fears. So is it a transparent deal? Is it competitive? Mm-hmm. Who else actually has made a bid? Yeah. Are we going to get value for money? Like I said, 30 years, all of us will not be, may not even be in office, especially the key guys who are making decisions around this thing. The question is, even when you're going to have retired, do you want to look back and say the 30-year deal that I actually entered into, which is a concession, is giving value for Kenyans? So I think that opportunity is still available, because the government, and both Adani and the government, have confirmed that nothing has actually been fully signed. These are still proposals. There was an issue about, for example, the employees. And you saw the Kenya Airports employees going on strike and saying that they're going to lose their jobs. I saw somebody yesterday saying that they're going to retain all the staff. So it means these are matters that are actually discussion. But we're saying full disclosure, who has shown interest, who is behind what, and which is the best deal. Are the employees going to be happy? Is the Kenyan taxpayer going to be happy? Is the government going to be happy? And the country in general, I think. And are we following the law?
And let me draw your attention back to what happened in the previous government, because you were in Parliament then, and bring you back to one of the major projects that the Kenyatta government undertook, which was the SGR. And there is a public audit and evidence and parliamentary records where you sit, the House, that the Kenya Ports Authority assets were put at risk in relation to this contract, that is the SGR contract. And President Kenyatta, on the 28th of December 2018, on a Friday, promised the Kenyan people that he will make public the SGR contract. He never did. He exited power, came Murkomen, he promised, he never delivered. And it appears the same script is playing out, because here you have evidence that the government was barred from the SGR contract for ever disclosing the contents because of what it negotiated. And the CSOC at Chirchir with my colleague Sam about a fortnight ago, and the proposal as per the government is that in case of any disputes, they have chosen London as the destination to solve such disputes. Then what happens to our institutions? What happens to the secrecy around what we negotiate in this case, given the experience we had with the SGR?
I actually think from the learning that we had, especially the case that you actually mentioned, whereby there was a lot of the SGR deal that was shrouded in secrecy, that it's even a good thing that issues are being raised about this Adani deal, about the airport deal, way ahead of our signing. So that's why we're asking the government, and I join my colleagues, let it be as clear as possible. Let me, the other PPP project, and Honorable Nyonka and I sat in the budget committee last time, the expressway. The expressway deal, which is also a PPP. Today it works. I mean, it's people are using it, and it seems to be. But there are also issues around it.
Yes.
A lot of issues.
Yes.
One of it is that I remember when they began, they said that the Kenyan taxpayer was not to bear any money. People were going to raise their money from the tolling. The only money that was actually to be given was about 8 billion for relocation of critical services, which was sewer lines, power, and all this. We ended up spending 60 billion plus on it. So I am saying, from what we have learned, though the project is there and we are seeing it is working, so from what we have learned from the previous PPP sort of arrangements, and as Parliament, and as Kenyans in general, it is even good that issues are being raised way ahead. And now, from the learnings and my brother here was talking about the taxation. I just wanted to correct him. The fees that is actually charged on our tickets is actually, it goes actually to the tourism fund. This was a proposal for the expansion of the airport. They had actually proposed it, but I don't think it was actually fully implemented. It wasn't fully implemented. But that is also a measure that we can use and levy in something small on our tickets and raise our own money so that we don't have to be dependent on a third party to do it. So I actually think that the learnings that we have had from SGR, from the expressway, we should carry them into all the other proposed PPPs. There are many other PPPs that are proposed. I remember we had a discussion, including the president, and I was saying, because maybe our fiscal framework does not allow, we don't have enough money to do a number of roads. We have seen the success of the expressway, other issues notwithstanding. Maybe the major arteries of this country, we could think of where we can actually go into a private a PPP arrangement with the investors and have them tolled. But the learnings that we've had before, we should bring them into this one. And the good thing is that the person sitting at Treasury today has actually been in Parliament, has actually seen the problems that we are in. So he should lead from the front to try and disclose.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Batumboy.
Yeah, I think for me, I think Parliament also may have made some mistakes. The issue of public-private partnership models, and there are a number of them, many of them are okay. But the amendment that brought in the one that, that is privately initiated project, I think that may have been a part of the mistakes. Because you see, in the normal PPPs, we have an opportunity where people are told to express interest. So the government wants something done, so they can open up for any bidder, that anyone who's interested, and that's transparent. You know, that is accountable. But you know, this new arrangement where an individual can figure out what he wants to do and quietly, you know, under the table discuss with government officials, I think that was a blunder. And that's why, you know, when it comes to making laws, sometimes these mistakes, we make them innocently, because in the process of the debate, you may actually see that as being a positive. But then there are people who are out there already with the schemes on how they will beat the system. So I think that could have been a mistake a little bit on the side of Parliament to have passed an open-ended arrangement where someone can initiate and then it can actually be implemented without public participation, because that goes against the Constitution. And that's why any bill that is passing through Parliament, it is taken to public participation. So I will not blame members of Parliament only. I'll also say public should also be alert and keen whenever there's any bill that is being brought. I mean, anything that is being mentioned, but I'm happy, you know, I think after the Gen Z revolt recently, now people are involved. I mean, I'm getting to know about bills that are yet to be tabled from the general public because people are alert. And I think a mistake like this would not have happened.
They are not only alert, but they want you parliamentarians to act on issues of public interest.
Of course we will act where we can. But I'm also of the opinion that, you know, largely this issue of Adani, there's also a lot of shifting goalposts. I've just mentioned, you know, every time you talk to the executive, there's a change in what they had proposed. You remember that they had said they will kick out, you know, staff will be allowed to reapply. Yesterday, the CS said that no, everybody's job is safe. That wasn't the case. That's why when the staff went on strike, it's because they knew there was a danger of being kicked out of office. So there's shifting goalposts. There's also the issue of the number of kilometers within which you can do a new airport. You know, it was 150. After a little bit of noise, they said it's 100. But they forget that even within a 100-kilometer radius, they've actually locked out the possibility of doing the airport at Konza City, which was part of our, you know, our blueprint of Vision 2030. So I think the whole thing is just a total mess. I think we need to go back to the drawing board. And I think the biggest problem, Ayub, is that Kenyans must stop being wheeler dealers. Okay. You know, because at the end of it all, if you look at this whole deal, somebody is making money. Somebody is benefiting individually, not publicly. So I think at the end of the day, we need to sober up and do what is right for Kenyans.
Okay.
Yes, Senator. The critical thing, and I'm sure, I mean, I'm just listening to what Honorable Nyamita is saying. Ayub, there is international best practice. There are things which other countries have done, which if you look at how they have done them, you marvel. And this is why we keep making the example of Rwanda. All right? A small country that has got a small economy, a small country that has gone out there and they have come up with a proposal. The proposal is actually half the price of what Kenya is getting. Rwanda is trying to construct an airport that is going to carry 8 million tourists, and they are spending half the money that we are asking for. The Qatari government, which the Rwandese government has negotiated with, is now offering them 42 aircraft. Out of that, they're giving them 6 Dreamliners so that they can resuscitate Rwanda Air, so that Rwanda Air can be collecting passengers from all over Africa and bring them to Kigali before they can fly to Dubai or whatever. How would I go against such a deal? Because I see value for money. All right? I see order. I see proper management of a public good. And then what do? You have people who are just bringing in a team. You hear these guys are fraudsters from Australia. They have 50 cases. They have already lost $100 billion in the New York Stock Exchange. It's a company that is being run by Modi, the Prime Minister of India, with the King of Abu Dhabi, and which is okay. We have no problem with the owners. This is what I've been telling people. What we are saying, can you please give us an airport that is good, that has got value for money, resuscitate KQ, let's clean out the debts that KQ has got. That's what you negotiate first. Because if you do this airport, which airline is going to carry your passengers? To bring them to Nairobi, then Nairobi can take them out. It is KQ. And yet you bring a PPP that you can't discuss what to do with KQ. Number 2, the Parliamentary Committee on Transport, which when it was being headed by Kosing 2018, they had the same issue. KQ had made a request for them to actually set up a PPP, and the committee and the professionals and all the executive members of the executive who came, including National Intelligence Service, including DPP, I mean, anybody who would matter to give a view on that matter discussed and said, the problem we have, we cannot give a public-private partnership to private individuals and company because of the implication of the national security impact of this airport. I asked the CS the other day, Chirchir, I said, boss, okay, let me just assume I'm an ordinary Kenyan. We have air traffic controllers. We have the air traffic control system, which is being utilized by the military and which is also being utilized by the civilian aircraft. Okay. Have you negotiated who's going to run our military outfit? Nothing. Have you discussed the implication of getting into such a PPP? Are we going to seek permission from Adani? Are they then, if you go to the deeper details of this agreement, you will notice in a very clever way, they've actually put it down there that Adani is the one which will begin providing what? Our aircraft monitoring system. Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's part of the proposal.
That's part of the proposal. And I'm saying, how can intelligent people agree to sign an agreement like that? And then you take this same, which Rwanda never did, you take this Adani thing, you then give them this contract, and then once they finish the 30 years, the next thing they will do is this is what they call a perpetual clause. Ayub, Adani will own KQ for the rest of our lives and our grandchildren forever, eternally. How can government officers sign such an agreement?
And here's my point, Senator. When yesterday, shortly we'll be having that soundbite, and if ready, we can take it.
Yes.
Because I'm looking at what ALG had proposed. Yes. But first, let's take a look at the soundbite and then come back.
Is it the position that Adani only operates in India?
I respect Sifuna in matters law. He respects me on matters finance. The predicament we find ourselves in is we are dealing with a mongrel of both law and finance.
You know, being told by these people to go and sign documents that
that's the same way when the senators get agitated when you make wild allegations. Please.
They are not wild. We have the evidence. They can table affidavits in this committee. They are not wild. John Badi, I don't even have a child who works at the airport.
I also don't have
Why are your people being kicked out?
Senator Onyonka, calm down. Chair, I don't.
All right, and let's say, Senator, let me read to you what the ALG had proposed, contracted by the Kenya Airports Authority, which is the contracting authority, and the PPP Act states that the contracting authority, in this case KA, shall be guided by the principles of transparency, cost effectiveness, and equal opportunity. ALG, in its report, said that, look, we only involve and invest in KQ. Adani says we'll have limited input. ALG said that it will focus on JKI only. Adani says it seeks control over other airports in the country. In terms of the financial risk, ALG says transfer risks to private contractors. Adani says it's compensation for disruptions. PPP approach, ALG said balanced risk sharing. Adani says investor protection. In terms of the financial structure, ALG proposed first investment plus upgrades. Adani said it prioritizes terminal commercialization. Clearly with the government, because I want to read what PS, that is Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi said. He said, should the Adani proposal, this was a statement he issued on the 30th of July, should the Adani proposal fail to go through, the government will have a recourse for other options, including consideration of alternative proposals. If you read between the lines, that means that we are considering Adani per the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Absolutely.
The point is then here, how isn't this not in contrast and a dichotomy of what the PPP Act says, and government officials who are learned overlooking that at the expense of a taxpayer who is on the brink of economic uncertainty, feels less in terms of the value of the shilling in his pocket, has no functioning healthcare system, problems with the education sector. I mean, how is the government missing such a critical point and ignoring the very same agency it contracted?
Ayub, it's like you were with me, you've been with me for the last 1 month. This is what I've been saying. I'm saying I can't come and tell the Kenyan government Are you with me? That because the Kenyan military has got an interest in purchasing some equipment, then I come and I'm alone as company WXY and make a presentation to the military and tell them, these guns which we want to sell to you, AMA APCs or whatever, whether it's a tank, this is the price we are going to give you at, this is what we want you to do. And in fact, take this deal because we are so wonderful and everything is great. The point I'm making, and this is what many of us have been saying, this deal stinks of corruption, it stinks of state capture, it is a deal which is designed to convolute. And I wanted to tell my brother Mbui and my brother Nyamita, yes, even when some of these bills are passed and Sami, this law, the PPP law we passed, I can tell you, I swear to God, I was in that assembly. I did not understand then, it's a confession I have to make, what the implication of that act, the act we made of allowing a private company to come on its own without even the national government or KAA advertising that we need to have 3 or 4 people who can come and do for us a PPP program in our country. And as a result, guess what happens? These guys have come. They have entered into the system. They have started having negotiations. The people handling, the Director General of PPPs, when I asked him yesterday, have you gone to India? The answer is, yes, we went to India. What were they going to do in India? Nobody says. And this is why we were disagreeing with the CS. We are telling him, I mean the chairman of our committee, we were telling him, why are you not allowing these people to talk for themselves? If they went to India, tell us what they went to go to do in India. The stories I have is that some of them went to receive money. That is when the largesse was being distributed. The guys would fly from here, they go to India, they're given money, most of the money is taken to Dubai. How did some of our members of this government get caught carrying $100 million in cash? This is what we are saying. It is a bad deal. And what kills me is that people think that we are fighting the airport. No. Please build an airport as big as Nairobi if you want. What we are saying, do it properly.
Okay.
We are having a country that is becoming dysfunctional. Everything is about a deal. I mean, tell me, Ayub, how can Kenyans not be worried that one company is taking over your airports, is taking over your airstrips, it's intending to take over the port of Mombasa, it's taken over Ketraco, it's taking over KenGen, it is taking over Geothermal Development Corporation, it's taking over Turkana Wind, and most probably Kenya Oil and Minerals. How can that not be state capture? Why are we comfortable about it? And people are busy. I mean, I saw my brother John Badi struggling with that answer. What we are saying, don't give us much English. This thing was, are you building an airport that is affordable according to our capacity? Yes. Are you going to achieve the agenda of your number of passengers you are going to bring in? Yes. Are you going to have a rate of return, investment rate of return in the period of time that you're talking about? Some of us were saying 30 years are too many. Let us look at what Rwanda has done. Let's look at Ethiopia. What have they done? Why is Rwanda and Ethiopia not having any noise or having any questions being asked? I mean, is it okay? Yes, Honorable Nyamita, I completely agree with you that the expressway is one of the best ideas that Kenya has ever come up with. In fact, my argument is, because I've traveled and you have traveled, all of you, we can have a ring around Nairobi, which will completely decongest the city. But that expressway, when it originally started, what was Uhuru's deal? 27 billion. That is what we are going to do. People said, really? Yeah. Oh, from here, maybe a little bit. Yeah?
Started at 8.
It started at 8B. Then it moved to 22B. Then it moved to 28B. Then it moved 43B. We finished doing that thing at 74B. What the heck is wrong with us?
The cash cow element.
Is that normal?
Okay.
I mean, is that a normal way that a government runs its business?
All right.
I mean,
governments.
Thank you. Yes, Robert Mbui, allow us now to flip our attention on equally another very developing story regarding what